Welcome to the Wednesday Night Showdown, brought to you by your Tampa Bay area Mazda dealers. Tonight, the Rays homestand continues Interleague Baseball with a wrap-up game of this two-game set against the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Rays sporting the best record in the American League, and by virtue of a 64-43 mark, they're in first place by a one-half game in front of the Boston Red Sox. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Tropicana Field and another evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson. I'm Dwayne Stats. So good to have you looking in tonight. Todd Callis along in just a few moments. Rays winners last night 5-2. They have built quality through versatility. Nobody fits that bill better than Ben Zobrist, whether it's on defense or in the lineup. And tonight he's hitting cleanup.
Well, Ben Zobrist, first of all, he goes to the All-Star game and he says, okay, if I'm an All-Star starting in the second half or after the All-Star break, I'm going to have to turn it up a notch. And this is exactly what he's done. Starting with that series in Toronto, his average at .381. More impressive than that is his on-base percentage, which is at .447. And guess what? He's getting it done from both sides of the plate. Right-handed, he's hitting .400. Left-handed, he's hitting .370. Continues to be very dangerous. An important spot tonight for the Rays. On the mound for the Rays is going to be Jeremy Hellickson, and you can see what he's done in his last 7 starts. A 6-0 record, 209 earned run average. The team has won all 7 of those starts. He's comfortable mechanically on the mound right now. That has led to a repeatable delivery. He's now able to put his pitches where he wants them, and when you're able to do that, the confidence starts to build and the results will follow.
Here's a look at his last start when he defeated the Yankees in New York on Friday. Gave up just a run on 4 hits in the 6 innings he worked, striking out 3 and walking 2, making 102 pitches. And tonight, Hellickson goes after win number 11. The trading deadline has come and gone. And when we come back, as that clock ticked down, Todd Callis will review the comings and goings.
Put them at 22-4 in the month of July. Tampa Bay and Arizona wrapping up this 2-game series. Rays victorious last night 5-2. July 31st marks the trade deadline, where you do not need to have players clear waivers. It was at 4 o'clock today, and a couple of teams in the AL East over the last 24 hours did add to their starting rotation. For the Red Sox, they add Jake Peavy to the rotation from the Chicago White Sox. They traded Jose Iglesias in a 3-player deal. Bud Norris is acquired by the Orioles from Houston. They're playing each other tonight, so they actually had to just switch some players within the two clubhouses. Jason Hamill, the former Ray, goes on the DL for Baltimore. And Jesse Crain, acquired on Monday by the Rays from the Chicago White Sox. He'll help in the back end of the bullpen after he comes off the DL right now with a little shoulder strain. Joe Maddon said before the game, the way his team is going, not necessary that they had to make a move today.
Well, you're always looking to make your group better, and if there was a way to make it better, Andrew would have done that. But, I mean, I'm very satisfied and happy with what we have here. The chemistry is outstanding. The way they interact is beautiful to watch every day. And we have a lot of different abilities and skills to offset different moments. So, again, you're always looking to make yourself better. But with this group and the way they're playing right now, I'm okay.
Why not be okay? Those guys are okay, too. Wow, they're having a great time up there. Dwayne Stats and Brian Anderson are going to answer your questions tonight on a Web Wednesday. Tweet your questions to @SunSportsRays with the hashtag AskRays, and those two will have as many answers as possible. We're ready for baseball on a Wednesday. Jeremy Hellickson with the recently added Ryan Roberts from AAA Durham in the lineup tonight. As Wade Miley, there he is, the lefty, will go for the Diamondbacks. Enjoy all the action of the Rays and the D-backs right around the corner here on SunSports.
Tossing 7 complete games, more than any other team in baseball has hurled all season. The only member of the Rays staff without a complete game is Jeremy Hellickson. And tonight, he looks to join the party and be in the center of the pitcher's post-game lead. Welcome to the Wednesday Night Showdown, brought to you by your Tampa Bay area Mazda dealers. The Rays again tonight square off against the National League's Arizona Diamondbacks. We'll take a quick look at the starting lineup presented by Sweet Bay Supermarkets. Gerardo Parra will lead it off. Parra in right field for Arizona. Martin Prado will hit second and play third. Paul Goldschmidt at first base. The DH Eric Chavez. Aaron Hill hits fifth in front of Cody Ross. A.J. Pollock in center. Will Nieves catches again tonight. Cliff Pennington, the shortstop, will hit ninth.
Well, taking the mound tonight for the Tampa Bay Rays is going to be right-hander Jeremy Hellickson, making his 22nd start of the season. 10-3 on the year, an ERA of 4.48. These numbers brought to you by Coventry Healthcare of Florida. And though that win total of 10 has really picked up, his last 7 starts, the team's won all 7. Jeremy in that span, 6-0, 2.09. Pitching with a lot of confidence right now and looking to keep it rolling. Let's take a look at the defense for the Rays as it lines up behind them. A little bit different look in the outfield, left to right. Full, Jennings, and Myers. Ryan Roberts will be back at third base facing his old team. Escobar, Zobrist, and Rodriguez complete the infield. And Jose Lobaton will be behind the plate.
There was a lot of speculation when Ryan Roberts was lifted for pinch hitter at Durham in their game last night. Here he is back with the Rays with Matt Moore going on the disabled list. And so Roberts in there playing third base tonight. Evan Longoria will DH. We are set to play baseball. Here's Parra, the right fielder, and the first pitch of this game delivered by Jeremy Hellickson. It's a strike call. First pitch presented by Pinch a Penny. There's Evan Longoria. He'll be in the lineup, but not playing third base. Another strike, 0-2. Gerardo Parra at 270 on the year. Outfielder from Venezuela. Pitch is low. He was 1 for 3 last night. In fact, hit by a pitch his first time up. That's how Roberto Hernandez started his night last night, and then wound up going the distance and came 1 out away from throwing a shutout. Chop right side. That's going to be a fair ball. And Sean Rodriguez at first tonight makes the play unassisted. Elbow soreness that developed his last time out for Matt Moore.
Yeah, and with all these off days coming up and the opportunity to go to a 4-man rotation, you don't take any chances with Matt Moore. Not a big deal. It's not something that he feels on every single pitch, which is a very good sign. But while you have the time, you let that elbow calm down and have him fresh and strong for the stretch run. Good move. Smart move.
Well, that moves right into the scenario that Joe Madden painted. There's no way you know when you're going to have to put a guy on the disabled list. Prado up here taking that first pitch for a ball. But the Rays thinking already in the month of August with the off days, it could be a month of winning, but a month of regrouping and heading strong into September.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. And a great changeup here by Jeremy Hellickson. But think about that. You've got a well-rested David Price, far below what his innings should be. He's going to be ready to go. And then Matt Moore is going to get a little bit of a breather here, and he's going to come back fine. In fact, Matt said, listen, if this is September, October, I could pitch. Yeah. I could definitely pitch through this. But while you have the opportunity with the off days, just give him a break, let that thing be 100%, and then all of a sudden you get him fresh. Goodness. It's hard to imagine that these guys could get any better, but nice to know you've got some fresh arms down the stretch.
Well, it speaks to the depth that the Rays have right now in the pitching department. Low, 2-2. Jeremy Hellickson out there for the 22nd time. The Rays have gone 10-1 against the National League this year, a major part of their success. Headed out of play by Prado. Hellickson winning 6 straight decisions over his last 7 starts. Gibson, the skipper in his 4th season, skipper of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Man of the hour last night, Roberto Hernandez. When you think about this Diamondback lineup too, it's an off night when your best chance to score was in the 1st inning with nobody out and runners on 1st and 2nd, and that's when Paul Goldschmidt came to the plate after that hit by pitch, a base hit by Aaron Hill. Hernandez gets him to roll into a double play, and then it was off and running for Roberto.
Up the left side, that's a fair ball. Off the sidewall, kicking back to Fold, who unloads in a hurry. But into second base goes Prado with his 20th double of the year.
Well, Martin Prado, a very good hitter. Handles the bat well, will use the whole field. Battles Jeremy Hellickson here, and after looking bad on a changeup early, gets one a little bit elevated right here, and he is able, see right there on top of the plate, moved up in the box a little bit, able to shoot this ball down into the corner. And a nice adjustment there made by Prado in order to pick up that double.
So scoring opportunity in the 1st by Arizona with Paul Goldschmidt up there, hitting 300 on the year and 383 with runners in scoring position. Looks at a fastball for a strike. The top RBI man in the National League. Upstairs. Say this for Goldschmidt, he looks like a hitter up there. There's no question about that.
Captain Caveman. I mean, he gets in there a little squat and gets that bat wrapped back behind his back, ready to uncoil and take a rip. And it's amazing that he's been able to put up the numbers that he has when you know that he's the focus of every pitching staff, every city they go to.
That pitch in, and it hits him. So Goldschmidt hit by a pitch. You're right about that. When you look at their lineup, just all you have to do is look at the production numbers. They immediately pop out at you, and he's the guy that you don't want to let beat you.
Yep. And so every time they go and play somebody, he becomes the focus, and yet still able to come through more times than not. That caught him right on the inside of that right elbow, and you certainly understand the grimace. That does not feel good in there.
Second man that Hellickson has hit this year. Eric Chavez DHing. Pitch is a strike. Chavez had an even 300. He hit the home run last night with 2 outs in the 9th that denied Roberto Hernandez the shutout. Hit it right down the right field line and off the foul pole. Well, Hernandez was very sharp last night. That's a strike. Takes the count to 1-2.
Can you think of any pitches that Roberto left out over the plate with elevation? It seemed like if he had a ball elevated, it was close to the hitter or it was far off the plate. Nothing elevated out over the white. Everything that was out over the plate was, a little bit above the knees down to the shins. And that will point to his success all the time.
Cut to miss. He got Chavez to chase the changeup. So 2 gone. First strikeout of the night for Hellickson.
And probably not exactly where Jeremy wanted this, but you got a guy that's down in the count have a tendency to expand his zone. And he goes well off the plate trying to reach that changeup, and as you would well imagine, couldn't.
Aaron Hill These two have faced each other from Hill's time with the Toronto Blue Jays. Now playing second base for the Diamondbacks. He's one of 3 lifetime against Jeremy. First pitch is in there, a strike call. Prado doubled. Goldschmidt hit by a pitch. 2 men on with 2 men out in the first. Covered up by Lobaton. The changeup. Rays start the night a half game up on Boston. Arizona running second in the National League West, 3.5 behind the Dodgers. Dodgers have won 4 in a row, and the Diamondbacks have dropped 3 straight. 3.5 out. Powell out of play. It's 1-2. The Dodgers have been very hot, taking over first in the National League West. Diamondbacks actually have spent the better part of the year in first place in that NL West race, but not now. Rays will see both these clubs from the West. The Rays take on the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers on their next road trip. The high chop to short. Picked on the short hop on a backhand by Escobar. Safe to call at first, and the bases are going to be loaded.
And I'll tell you what, first of all, that was a tough hop that Escobar is going to have to contend with off the bat of Aaron Hill. And he comes in, lets it bounce, and takes that short hop on the backhand. Boy, this is a tough way to go after a ball. Then has to throw on the run, and the timing right there a little bit off. And right there down at first base, Phil Cuzzy says that Sean Rodriguez did not keep that foot on the bag. It was awfully close.
It was close.
Tough to see from those angles. And obviously probably tough for Phil to see, but that was the call.
Goes as an infield hit for Aaron Hill. The bases are loaded. Cody Ross becomes the hitter. Ground ball through the left side for a base hit. Prado's going to score. Goldschmidt heads to the plate, and the throw cut off. It's 2-0 Arizona. So on the first pitch, Cody Ross gives Arizona a 2-0 lead.
Now there have been so few hiccups by the Rays defensively, and I know that went down as an infield hit, but more times than not, we're used to that play being made. It's not, and Cody Ross immediately is able to cash in for the Diamondbacks. That extra base runner right there, he just hammers one in the hole, and everybody running with 2 strikes and full. A little bit of trouble getting this out of his glove. Goldschmidt's able to get in.
Hill at second with Ross at first. A.J. Pollock steps in, getting the start in center field tonight. And there's a first pitch strike. A 25-year-old outfielder. In front of the changeup. 0-2. He spent most of last season with their AAA affiliate at Reno and hit .318 there. Oh, 2. Tapper foul. Pollock hitting 7th. Kirk Gibson's lineup. Two runs in, 2 men on, 2 strikes to count to Pollock. Fastball wide. Pollock takes it off the plate. Myers, the catcher, on deck. The 1-2 outside. 2-2. So Arizona with 2 in the first. Pollock pops this one back. That's going to be out of play. Holding the count right there, 2-2. Pollock out of Notre Dame. He's a first-round pick by the Diamondbacks. And it's lifted to the right side, shallow right. Will Myers is there to retire the side. 2 men scored, 2 men are left. Rays coming in to hit. Bottom of the first. John Rodriguez assuring Jamie Nelson and the rest of the Rays that his foot was on the bag and that the throw beat Hill.
And you know what? That's what I went to, the thought that the foot may have come off the bag because it was clear that the throw got there in time. There was no way that he was just calling him flat out safe. Thought he had to be, the only choice he had was the foot coming off the bag, where it appears, obviously the foot was on the bag, appears that the call was that the play was beat out by the runner, and that clearly was not the case. The throw was there in time for the out. That's a huge turn because it ends up costing the Rays 2 runs.
Always tough enough to get 3 outs. Yeah. Very difficult to get 4. So it's 2-0 Arizona, and Desmond Jennings leads off. Shortens on the bat. Takes the pitch upstairs. Rays facing left-hander Wade Miley.
You can see making his 22nd start. His season numbers brought to you by Coventry Healthcare of Florida.
Jennings takes a strike. 1-1. Desmond hitting .261 overall. .333 against left-handed pitching. Miley will not give you a lot of time to think about what you want to do up there unless you step out on him. And that's what Jennings is already doing.
Yeah, well, he wants to engage his defense, work quickly. He knows what he wants to do. An awful lot of fastballs from this lefty.
Chopper towards second. Hill gloves and throws. Jennings is out number 1. Rest of the Rays lineup presented by Sweet Bay Supermarket. Evan Longoria hitting second following Jennings, and then Will Myers. Ben Zober, Sean Rodriguez, and Ryan Roberts down the middle. Yudel Escobar, Jose Lobaton, and then Sam Fold in left field hits ninth. Evan up in the second spot, hitting third last night. He was 0 for 5. Fouls a pitch out of play.
And when you see Miley's breakout, he gets the right-handed hitters. He is over 70% fastballs, and it gets even, easier to figure out from there. A lot of fastballs early in the count and behind in the predictable counts. So the Rays should be able to at least be able to hone in on what he's trying to do. Loves the slider with 2 strikes to the right-handed hitters and the lefties.
Evans breakout, 345 against lefties. This one is down. They say Miley does get a little cut action on his pitches. He was a 16-game winner last year, 16-11 in 29 starts.
ERA in the low 3s.
And a cut and a miss. He throws a fastball and gets Longoria.
Elevation. Brought that one up just a little bit and added a mile or two onto the velocity. 92 on this pitch by Miley. Actually not even where he wanted it. You could see he wanted it in on the hands. That ball sails up and away, but the result still goes his way.
Two up, 2 down, and Will Myers stepping in. Pitch moves away off the plate.
And Miley's been on a nice little run since the beginning of June. He went into that start that he had on June the 5th. He was 3-5 with an ERA of over 5. Since then, in 10 starts, just a 4-3 record. However, a 2.69 earned run average. He's given up 3 earned runs or fewer in all of those starts, 2 earned runs or fewer in 6 of the 10.
Myers swings through that changeup.
And that was a pretty changeup from a lefty. Great arm action on that pitch by Miley.
Fastball away. It's now 3-1. Miley out of Louisiana. He was born in Hammond, Louisiana, in the New Orleans area, to southeastern Louisiana. And there's a strike on the corner. The Rays actually drafted him out of high school in 2005, and he went to college instead.
Boy, dots that fastball right on the outside corner for the second strike.
Full count to Will. And a fastball cut and a miss. A 1-2-3 inning for Miley in the first. On to the second. It's 2-0 Arizona. you by Mazda. Visit your Tampa Bay area Mazda dealers. By Toyota. Let's go places. By Coventry Healthcare. Coverage so you can keep living the life you want. Go live. We've got you covered. And by Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. When cancer strikes, strike back with CyberKnife. Available at Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. On to the second inning we go. Well, the catcher is going to lead it off. Nieves catching both games here in this short 2-game set. Lifted up the right side, a long run by Myers, but he will not be able to get there while falling behind the bullpen mound. We'll have Cliff Pennington, the shortstop, the number 9 hitter next, and then the top of the order, Parra. A curveball and a big one for a strike. 0-2.
Starts this ball in off the plate. Nieves gives up on it, and it just clips the inside corner.
Ground ball to the shortstop. Escobar's throw to first. One away in the second.
It'll be interesting to see, and Jeremy Hellickson, his changeup is always going to be a big pitch for him, but after the success that Hernandez had with his last night, and obviously a different style, Hernandez has more late finish on it than Jeremy's, who just kind of dies and never gets to the plate. But you got to believe, Jeremy said, I'm going to watch Roberto Hernandez and see how he pitches to these hitters, try to formulate my game plan since I've never seen him before.
Pennington fouling it back for a strike. That changeup, something that Hellickson has had dating back to his second year in the Rays minor league system. He pitched just a handful of innings in 2005, and then the next year at Hudson Valley started to dabble with that changeup. 1-1 to count to Pennington. And that has made all the difference for Hellickson. That changeup. A ball and 2 strikes. One thing we have not seen a lot of this year from Hellickson that we did see some last year is that cutter.
Yeah, he pretty much has shelved that pitch. And you know what? I think for the best. He really, the way that he's able, and especially right now, the way that he's able to manipulate the zone with his fastball and that changeup and the curveball, that's all he needs. It's something that he can add down the road, maybe in an occasional tight spot he wants to go to it. But his 3-pitch repertoire is good enough. And he's shown that in the last month and a half.
We got strike 2 to Pennington on the change, and now this one is lifted into right, back to the track, and Myers is there. Pennington lifts the fastball back into right field, and Myers had the range. 2 gone. So 2 outs in the second inning.
Big key for Jeremy Hellickson is to stay away from those pitches at the thigh and at the belt. Every pitcher wants to do that, especially with Jeremy. He's not blessed with a ton of movement on that fastball, so he needs to be precise with it. And that's what we've seen over that 7-start span where he's 6-0 with an ERA barely over 2. Everything down, down, down. When you can do stuff like that and just drop in a first pitch hook, something that Parra is probably not looking for, immediately gives you the advantage.
Gerardo Parra, 1 strike the count. He grounded out to first to start this ball game. Did he go? Yes, he did. Couple down at third. Says that's a swing. Madden has his club 21 games over 500. And a swing and a foul tip strikeout. Curveball takes care of Parra. 2-0 Arizona. Pediatric Cancer Foundation. For every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports, seasons total up to $12,000 now. Zobrist leads off the second, takes a high fastball. And hitting cleanup. Sean Rodriguez will follow, and then Ryan Roberts. It's 1-1. Rays are down 2-0. Diamondbacks scored 2 in the first. But Arizona's only 7-9 when they score 2 or more in the first. And that's a little unusual. In fact, that's the worst record in the major leagues.
It should be.
Scoring 2 or more in the first. 7-9. 2-2.
Well, that's something the Diamondbacks are going to have to continue to add on, because this Rays team is going to battle you to the final out. It's one of the fun things about this club, the resiliency of it. Not only for stretches of time, but just within a game. Falling down early, team does not get rattled. They do not change their approach.
Into center field. Pollock is there. Had a little stutter step coming in, and he made the catch for the first out. Let's check in with Todd Callis right now. Todd?
Dwayne, it is a Web Wednesday. A few viewers were wondering what you guys were reading or what you were talking about, BA, on the phone. But the first question is actually about the possibility of a Ray being a Rookie of the Year. A lot of fans want to know about Will Myers' chances. And also Chris Archer. There's also a guy in the bullpen who hasn't done too poorly either. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, there's a whole battle right here on the Rays roster for the Rookie of the Year. You've got Archer, Myers, and Torres. You could make a case for any one of those three. And of course, we saw the other rookies in contention. Iglesias now with the Tigers, traded over from Boston, and Nick Franklin with Seattle. But it would be, if you had to pick just from the Rays roster,
It's between those two.
It would be quite a challenge. Which way you go right there, pitching or hitting?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the run that Chris Archer has gotten on, not to take anything away from what Alex Torres has done, but if you're talking about the Rookie of the Year race with his position in the bullpen, if he's not racking up saves, that's probably going to hurt him. But legitimately, Chris Archer, if he continues to pitch like that, you make the case. But Will Myers has been extremely productive with the stick, and I think that's a coin flip. Truly, if it's between those two guys just on the Rays team, it's a complete coin flip. And this guy, again, not racking up the saves, but oh so important, came on the scene as a long guy, going to be a mop-up guy, had a couple of 4-inning outings just to bridge the gap and get through some tough games. And it was so good that Joe Madden was forced to move him to the back end where it's crowded down there. But he just continues to come in and get big out after big out.
Ryan Roberts takes a strike. Well, Myers, he was impressive from the day he came up. I mean, he was hitting home runs on big stages and all of that, and seemed right at home, whether it was at Fenway or Yankee Stadium, right in the middle of a race like this. And since the All-Star break, he led the major leagues in hitting with his hot streak, 16 out of 35, and 12 runs batted in for him in that stretch. So a strong case for Will Myers. Roberts just back from the Durham Bulls. Strike the count. Former Diamondback facing his former club. And it's 1-1.
That'll be the key for Ryan Roberts tonight, is not to get too excited at the plate. You're going to get a handful of at-bats. It is your former team. You definitely want to have a good game against them. You just got to stay within your game plan, within your approach off this particular pitcher, not try to do too much. That would be the temptation.
Well, he represents some of the depth that the Rays have already. You talk about the trading deadline, and the Rays apparently had some conversations going, but as Andrew Friedman said, there's nothing that really fit. And so they do add Jesse Crain, and they figure to have him come back from the shoulder situation and be available in the not too distant future. And Ryan Roberts, who has been up and down 2 or 3 times between the Rays and Durham, gives them some depth. 1-2, the pitch foul out of play.
And we've seen Ryan Roberts when he has come up in this role. He's not gotten discouraged when he's gone back to Durham. Certainly that's not where you want to be, and that would be, something that you can understand a guy going down there, and so I feel like a big league player. I am a big league player, but he has accepted it very well. And when he's got opportunities to come back up, even though they may have been limited in case in point, just the one game, hit a couple home runs in that game. Able to just come up and continue to do what he can to help the team.
Roberts out on strikes. Well, let's hear what Andrew Friedman had to say about the trading deadline.
The good thing is we're in a fortunate position where we don't have any obvious glaring issues and things that we had to address, and so it allowed us to be a little more selective, and we went through and had a lot of different conversations, and really it was about any way we could continue to fortify our depth. We were going to be aggressive to do so. We actually really like the guys that we have in AAA, but if we could do something to extend that line, that's something that we would have been aggressive to do, but nothing lined up, and we're happy with the guys we have.
Well, they have great depth, and they've actually extended that depth by creating the versatility that this club has featured in the Friedman-Madden era, and that's been a big part of keeping this team as successful as it's been. 1-1, and they have not been in those years big trading deadline teams.
No, no, piece here, a piece there. I think in past years, you had that desire to go make a splash. But this year, and we talked about it, once the trades and the trading deadline and all the talk started to heat up, and just like Andrew said, not a lot of glaring holes. That really no glaring holes. And Andrew had even said, if we can upgrade somewhere, we'll look into doing that. But we don't feel like we have to go and address any specific part of this team because they've all been clicking.
Well, it's certainly a position of strength. That trading deadline's it's like a poker game.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And so you don't show your hand. The Rays in a position where they didn't necessarily feel as if they had to add a piece, and when they do, they try to do it on more or less on their terms. Escobar fouls it out of play. The count is 2-2.
Well, the other thing that Andrew has said is with all of these discussions regarding players that they like, players that may feel it, all that does is it potentially sets the stage for off season. Mm-hmm. Then you go to the winter meetings and you pick up where those talks left off, and you've kind of already done some of the background work on them.
Full count.
Well, they may not have brought anybody in, can still be productive in the long run.
And they're always aware of other talent. I think a great example of that was Kelly Johnson. Friedman said a couple of weeks ago that he was a guy that they'd had interest in over the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. Runner goes on the 3-2 two-out pitch, and it's skied down the right field line. Foul. Couple of feet foul out of the reach of Parra. Well, regarding that trading deadline, let's take a look at tonight's AT&T social media poll. Which American League East rival improved themselves the most at the deadline? TB1, Boston, by getting Jake Peavy, or the Baltimore Orioles, TB2, by getting right-hander Bud Norris. Tweet your vote to @SunSportsRays.
What do you got?
Well, Norris, here's the deal. Peavy has been there, a veteran, and that's going to be a significant pickup. Escobar drives it high and deep into right center field, and over there right in front of the wall by the 370 marker, Parra makes the catch to retire the side. Through 2-0 Arizona.
Downsides to a 23-4 stretch. But Joe Madden talked about one last night. He talked about with all the success, you do not want to be looking back And, of course, you don't want to be looking forward either. So Madden put out a tweet, very simple, very Joe Madden-esque in his wording. He just talked about stay in the present, boys. It was very simple and kind of a Madden-y thing to say. He always has motivational notes everywhere in the locker room and wherever players could see it. In fact, on his lineup card last night, he had a very similar sentiment. Just stay in the moment, guys.
Well, that's what the Rays do.
I like the crooked lineup card there. It's a good move. There it is. That's fantastic.
And a little note to Ben Zobrist right beside it.
Someone had their eye exam today.
Oh, my
Goodness.
1-0 the count to Prado. Martin Prado leading it off here in the third. Hellickson, 2 balls, no strikes the count to Prado. Goldschmidt hits second, and then Chavez. That'll be a strike. It takes the count to 2-1. Hot shot up the left side. That's going to be just foul. Prado already has a double up the left field line in the first when he scored the initial run of the game. And just missed an extra base hit here.
Boy, just a little bit too quick. Couple of feet.
Hellickson facing Arizona for the first time in his career. Been on a great run right along with the Rays. Rays 23-4, 10-1 in interleague play. Won 11 of their last 13 to get to 21 over 500. And you go back to about the middle of June. That's when Hellickson got on this current run, 6 in a row, and the Rays have won all 7 of his starts in that stretch. He had a no decision against Minnesota, and the Rays won that game 4-3.
Well, it's just been consistency for Jeremy. You know, earlier in the year he was victimized by some big innings. He'd be rolling along, you know, give up some runs early and then maybe retire 13 in a row. Be rolling along, all of a sudden hit a bump, give up 4 or 5 runs. Very frustrating time for him.
Back down the middle to center. Jennings is there and puts it away. That's out number 1. Tonight's game available in Spanish via SAP, brought to you by Coventry Healthcare of Florida. And here's Paul Goldschmidt. He's out of Texas State University in San Marcos. Grew up in the Houston area in the Woodlands. Pitch inside to him. 1-0. Boy, if you have baseball talent, you don't have to go to the biggest school in the country either. You go to a school where you can play a number of games. You play a lot of games and people are going to find you.
And that's the difference. You know, when you think about football, a big deal is always made if a guy comes out of a Division II school, because physically they're just not there. And when you get to the NFL, you better have all the physical attributes, you know, that they expect to be able to succeed. You know, you got to have the size, speed, and all that. But baseball, being a skill sport, you're right. you can play anywhere, and there's scouts out there. They will find you. You know, the key is obviously getting into a good summer league, because then they can go out to these different tournaments, and you know, all the teams are, you know, coming together and scout a lot of guys. But you're right, it does not matter where you are, what high school you go to, what college, what division it is. NAIA. I mean, look at Ben Zobrist out of Dallas Baptist, NAIA school. It doesn't matter. If you have the skills, they will find you and you'll get your opportunity.
Yeah, that's why the junior colleges, community colleges are so important, particularly in good weather locations where you can play a lot. And then the summer leagues, as you point out, very important in the development and the discovery of talent. Jerry Chavez. Pitch is a strike.
I will tell you this, though. The one thing that's interesting, you know, when you do go off to college, if it's financial aid or a scholarship, how important grades are for college baseball, because they don't have, you know, football, everybody gets a scholarship. You bring in 25 guys, you hand out 25 scholarships. If they lose a couple of them with, you know, grades and attrition along the way, so be it. That's going to happen. In baseball, that's not the case. You got like 11 and a half or 11.7 scholarships to divvy up with 30, 40 guys that are going to be on the team. So they can't afford to have someone coming in there and flunking out. That's what always astounded me getting recruited. The first thing they wanted to ask about was the grades, and I'm thinking, hey, listen, what about the heater? The heater coming downhill at you.
What? You didn't want to talk about grades first?
No. Who does? Who does? But that's how important it is. They can't afford to lose those spots, and that's those scholarship dollars, because they're so limited compared to some of the other sports, or the big ones like basketball and football.
I've been around you all this time, and I thought you were a grades first guy.
Listen, I put it together, Dwayne. I put it together.
I got you.
I just, I didn't like to toot my own horn about that 2-4 that I would carry.
Well, I know in your life who would be big about grades, and that would be Mom and Dad.
Listen, my mom assaulted Nate Leet, the team massage therapist in Boston, when you remember he did the edge walking in Toronto. Okay, so I'm introducing them after one of the games, and she went 2 high fingers into his chest, and I mean literally it was almost an assault. I saw the security guard looking at Mom like, slow down, and Nate was like, well, I know where this kid comes from. So yeah, you better believe it, she's all over the grades.
This one is down 2-2. So that's where you got the high left.
Oh, I'm telling you, Dwayne, if you could have seen this. And I think there was even an idiot dropped in a very fun way. But yeah, it was aggressive.
I'm sure you thought it was in a fun way too when you were on the receiving end, huh?
No.
2-2 lifted foul out. It's going to be out of play down the left side. The count holds at 2-2. But you're right, to get back to college ball, and Goldschmidt hitting started this little adventure into where you play college ball in the situation. You discover all that talent. But grades are important.
Yeah.
They absolutely are, for the reason you mentioned. Aside from just the idea it's always good to make good grades.
Oh, absolutely. Apply yourself.
All drive deep to right off the bat of Chavez. Down the line, and it's fair and gone. Chavez, who hit the foul pole last night in the 9th inning, just missed it. On the fair side, however, it's a 2-run home run, and Arizona takes a 4-0 lead.
Chavez once again, this pitch here getting out and flipping it down the line, very similar to last night. The ball a little bit down, that one middle of the plate. Last night a little bit closer middle in, but the result the same, right down the line. 2-run homer.
Well, he's been swinging the bat well for the better part of the last month for the Diamondbacks. He did spend some time on the DL and just got back at the end of June, and has come off and has hit well. Victimized the Rays twice here in the last 2 nights. 2-0 the count to Aaron Hill. 2-1. Fastball up and Hill swings through it. 2-2. It's the 17th home run given up by Hellickson this year. 12 of those to left-handed hitters. Line drive, that's a foul ball. Holds the count to 2-2. Jeremy had given up only 2 home runs this month. That's number 3. Most of those came early when he struggled. In fact, he went through June and gave up only 2 home runs. 12 over April and May, and he strikes out Hill on a changeup. 2 gone.
Well, you look at Jeremy, even like his month-by-month earned run average. You know, April it was 4.3, May it was almost 6.7, but then in June started to get under control, 3.53, and then July down into 2s. You see right there. And how about the record? 8-1. Out to win this one tonight, he's going to need the Rays bats to come alive here. Down by 4.
Cody Ross takes a fastball in off the plate. Well, that home run by Chavez, the first hit in 7 at bats off Hellickson. Little tapper, third base side. Roberts will make the pickup, and it's fair. And Ross has himself a base hit. Well, there was no chance to throw him out.
And that's why you let that roll. And more than likely, it's going to stay fair. But because you're not going to attempt to play anyway, you just keep your eye on the ball, you keep your eye on the runner, and you let that keep rolling. There's still a chance there that maybe you could end up foul, but no reason to come in and field it if you're not going to try and make a play.
An infield hit for Ross. J.J. Pollock. One ball, no strikes. It's a 1-1 count. Two balls and a strike. Hellickson made 30 pitches in the first and gave up 2 runs when Cody Rouse singled home Prado and Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt scored again here in the third on the home run by Eric Chavez. Two and 2. In the first and 30 here in the third. 71 already for Hellickson tonight.
Yeah, that number has gotten up there in a hurry. Just being the third inning, like you said.
Chopped to second. Zobrist with a toss to Escobar coming across the bag. 2 runs scored on the home run by Chavez. 4-0 Arizona. Enjoy the good life as they take on the Blue Jays Saturday, August 17th. After the game, One Republic takes the stage as part of the Rays Summer Concert Series, performing their hits Apologize, Feel Again, and Good Life. For tickets, visit raysbaseball.com/concerts. Jose Lobaton takes a strike. The bottom of the third is underway. That pitch on the outside corner. Fastball from Wade Miley. Fastball in the upper 80s. Pitch fouled away. 0-2.
And before you could get that out, then he comes with the changeup. I mean, he works extremely fast.
It reminds people of Mark Burley. Might throw a little harder, but he knows exactly what he wants to do, and he gets after it and does it.
Another nice off-speed pitch there by Miley to take down Jose Lobaton. Well, and that's the thing. Most pitchers do. You know, most pitchers, whether you take time out there or not, as soon as you throw the pitch, you see the hitter's reaction, you know how you want to pitch him anyway. A lot of times you already have an idea what you want to do with the next one.
Sam Fole getting the start against the lefty and leans back to take the pitch for a ball. Sam overall 200 this year, but 343 against lefties.
Well, that's part of the reason for the Rays' success as a team against left-handers. Not only left-handed starters, but just left-handers in general. They hit them better than anybody in baseball by a wide margin. But it's the left-handed hitters getting involved that has made them extremely dangerous.
Ground ball to second, off the glove of Hill, recovers and throws, and still gets Sam Fole. Boy, that was a quick recovery by Hill after the ball deflected off his glove.
Well, and it had to be, because Sam Fole, you know, he's always running hard. That's one of the things about him. Not going to take a play off. Right there, already running hard, and has to reach back quickly just to get him by half step.
Desmond Jennings takes a look at the off-speed pitch, a changeup, and it was a little bit wide. Two and 0. Miley has been given a 4-run lead. Foul ball back. Speaking of a 4-run lead, Houston has a 4-0 lead over the Orioles in Baltimore. Robbie Grossman up with the Astros, hit a 2-run home run and a 4-run second. His first home run.